Monster Hunter Now, Capcom's newest mobile game for the Monster Hunter franchise release, is creeping up ever closer, and I've put out a couple of videos discussing not just my opinions on the closed beta experience that they had, but also I've gone and done a couple of previews regarding other people's opinions on this upcoming title as well. Today I wanted to do a very quick articles kind of like recap from Game Rant. Huge shout out to Paolo Jose Arias putting up a really interesting article talking about what you should be expecting for Monster Hunter Now's launch. Remember that as of right now, we still just have a vague September 2023 release, which is no more than 2 months from now. And more importantly, a couple of more little tidbits have been, kind of like dropped in the shadows, if you will, as a couple of more closed beta invites have gone live. I spoke about in the beginning of July that they were going to be doing a second wave of beta invites. They did that. We were also talking about the fact that by the end of this month, we could potentially end up getting an open beta. So that is something that we're still expecting to happen relatively soon. And even more previews have gone up as well, which I eventually want to get to, kind of do a little bit of a big recap for all the previews. But in this video, I want to talk about what this article kind of touches upon, and more importantly, what players who are not necessarily too sure as to what to expect from this title should be ready to know heading in. Once again, link in the description below for the Game Rant article from Paolo Jose Arias talking about what to expect from Monster Hunter Now's launch in September. They mentioned that Capcom is directly working with augmented reality (AR) development specialist Niantic to give fans of the Monster Hunter experience on mobile devices with Monster Hunter Now. The latter is known for making popular AI games like Pokemon Go, which continues to be updated and played by millions of players worldwide. As such, there's big expectations ahead of Monster Hunter Now's release in September of 2023. To keep the hype train going, the developers have revealed a few key features that players should be expecting and they should be able to experience at launch. The Monster Hunter franchise started on PlayStation 2. Its core gameplay involves around capturing monsters for missions that reward the players with loot and money that they can use to create incrementally stronger armors and weapons. Monster Hunter generally supports multiplayer, but hunters also often accompanied by sentient cats, which are called palago companions in Monster Hunter. These cute critters offer various defensive and offensive support abilities during combat. Capcom seems to be doubling down on the multiplayer aspect of the series with Monster Hunter Now. And that is one of the things that I spoke about in multiple of the previous videos that I've done already. The online interactions or interactivity, I guess you could call it, within the fact that you're going to be able to play with other hunters almost seamlessly in every single one of the encounters that you have is pretty cool. One of the things that I've seen a lot of people also praise is the fact that almost like ghost hunters are going to be available. If you remember in previous like older Monster Hunter games, you had exchange of guild cards, for example, where you basically provided a guild card to another character. That character would provide a guild card to you or another player essentially, and you would have a ghost version of that character that you can send out to do, sub quests or like gather materials for you or whatever the case is. In this game, you might not necessarily have to trade a guild card for another player, but essentially your playstyle will be saved as somewhat of a ghost, and other players can have access to that, so they can be dropped into your event whenever you're about to do a fight. That's not something that's been fully confirmed as of yet, but it's something that some players have been kind of picking up on as they are doing online hunts. The official press release for the game published by Niantic on their website hints that Monster Hunter Now will focus heavily on co-op play. The trailer also showed players teaming up down on Monster Hunter Elder Dragons. The game's, accordingly to producer Ryosu Sugimoto, focuses on the here and now, apart from taking advantage of Niantic's AR technology to render the franchise's more fearsome creatures in the real world. It will also require players' devices to physically preset at the monsters' locations to defeat them. Party members need to be in the same place for co-op battles too. combat is simplified for mobile in this game, which consists of tapping and swiping on the screen to perform various moves. Each encounter will last about 75 seconds, which is quick and compared to the usual 40-minute combat hunts in the mainline games. I do want to push back a little bit on this. 75-second combats for Monster Hunter Now are probably for the early on experiences. Some people have spoken about 3 to 4 minute hunts at the later tiers that you have seen in the closed beta. At the same time, they also give a 40-minute combat, for mainline games. Anyone playing Sunbreak and trying to play like end game content, special investigations, for example, which are some of the most toughest content available, it takes no more than 10 minutes. So 40-minute hunts are a long thing of the past that have not been available for maybe even since like generations. Maybe like Monster Hunter 3 or maybe 4 Ultimate or something like that. But 40 minutes hunts have not been a thing for quite a while. It is going to follow Pokemon's Go's successful exploration format. Monster Hunter now may scatter common monsters around everyday locations and place resources and shops in important landmarks like parks and monuments. And this is directly tied to the fact, like I mentioned before, where you are able to kind of like hunt in with other players, and they can be dropped into your instant hunt pretty much instantly. If you do come across a monster throughout your experience, you can actually throw a paintball at it. You can actually engage with it at a later date. Where you think maybe you'll be able to have more players available at that time. You don't have to try to go and handle that in a solo scenario. Lastly, in the article, they mentioned that palicos are integrated in Monster Hunter Now, and they're more supportive than ever. The players can command their cats to mark other monsters with paintballs, which causes them to leave a trail. The hunter can then fight the creature at a later time. This is especially helpful when players encounter a rare monster, but they're too busy to keep playing. They can just mark the creature and battle it once they have free time. It's a convenient way to reduce the fear of missing out. The palico can mark every monster a player encounters while the app is inactive, so players can get into a battle as soon as they have time to open up Monster Hunter Now. Players can also ask their palicos to gather materials for them. According to an article published by Niantic Tokyo, players can use the materials they receive for items crafting, and crafting is the core feature of Monster Hunter Now, which lets players create and upgrade their armors and weapons. Monster Hunter Now may offer an easier, more simple gaming experience compared to the mainline siblings, but it retains the essence of the franchise. The monsters are as fearsome as ever, and players get to see them tower over their houses and skyscrapers, but it also gets to craft and use the franchise's iconic weapons like greatswords, axes, and bows. Palicos are as helpful as ever in this game too, taking on mundane tasks so players can focus on hunting down and battling monsters. It's obvious that Capcom and Niantic work hard to make the signature Monster Hunter features fit perfectly well on a mobile package. The only thing that I'll push back on that specific section of the article is that while you do have access to essentially all of the weapons you think you'll be able to have access to, as you typically are used to the 14 weapons, they will not be available to you right from the get-go. You will have to kind of unlock them as you level up your HR, which is something that not a lot of players are going to be happy with because they're only used to playing with one specific weapon. They may not want to be able to play with the default weapons, and maybe some of the early unlocks are not going to be weapons that they're too interested in. So the developers choosing to kind of like lock away some of the weapons through HR unlocks is something that is going to be seen as a little bit of a hindrance. And again, because you're not able to craft the best weapon available for, your weapon type, for example, right away, or based on the materials you've already gathered, it's going to seem like you're wasting materials on a weapon you're not ever going to even want to keep. Because at the end of the day, you're looking to be able to get your hands on another weapon, which is not currently available to you. And that is certainly something a lot of players are not going to be too happy with. So once again, link in the description below for the Game Rant article from Paulo Jacir Arias, talking about what to expect at the launch of Monster Hunter Now, which is once again set to drop in September. If you're brand new to my channel, though, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. Hit the bell to receive notifications when the videos go up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. See ya.